So today we're going to look at I'm a grade 3 writer. This is a writing curriculum put into a book for grade 3 students, written by Jessica Dunton, which is me. So we're going to take a look at how this book is set up first of all. If we flip to page 2, we have the table of contents, which is the kinds of writing that we're going to be doing this year. We're going to start with our personal narrative, and then there are some writing prompts after that. A personal narrative, it's a story about ourselves. We've done a lot of preparation for that through our journal writing that we focused on already. We're going to go into an autobiography unit, which is really a story about ourselves. It's our life story, okay, that we write on our own. Then we're going to go into realistic fiction. So we go from writing what is real to something that's not real, but could be real, okay? So no fairies or flying mice in this one. All right, this is just real stuff. How to, this is how to do something. Okay, when you teach somebody how to do something, how to bake a cake, how to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, how to fix a car, how to go fishing. Okay, research. So this is when we're going to go into research. All right, we're going to pick a topic. You're going to get to learn about, well, you're going to have some choices. Let's just say that. You're going to do a piece on vocabulary because we have to know what the words mean that we're researching about, and then we're going to do some, the actual unit. Poetry. Okay, that should hit about when it's time for Poetry Month, okay, in the springtime. Then we have opinion or persuasive. This is when you want to learn how to convince somebody to do something, okay, or convince somebody about something. Friendly letters and thank you notes. We're actually going to be going back and forth probably into these friendly letters and thank you notes throughout the year. Also, you'll notice each unit has writing prompts to go with it. So it'll give the practice for you guys for your writing, all right, which will be really good. Now, just to show you how these units are set up and the one that we're actually going to go into today, we talked about it a little bit last week, but we didn't really get into it. Each unit has a checklist at the beginning. It's a really easy checklist for third grade kids to follow, so I think you guys should be doing okay with it. The first thing you're going to do is tell your partner a story, all right, about your life. And that's what we're going to get started with today, and we'll talk about that in a minute. You're going to draw a story map or a flow story, which if you turn the pages, a couple pages over, page 8 and 9, you'll see a flow story is kind of like a comic of your story. And kids usually have fun with this. All right, I enjoy it a lot, and most kids will. And then you're actually going to write your story. Okay, so after those comic pages, look, I gave you lots of space to write your story. No, you don't have to fill the whole space up. But I know some of you like to write a lot, so I put extra pages. Okay, but even if you only fill half of it, that's okay. As much as your story takes, as much as you fill. If you fill all 2 pages and need to staple more in, that's okay too. All right, it's your story. Some stories might be longer or shorter to take. All right, you got it. It's with a memoir. We want to make sure there's a lesson in it. You show it to me. You're gonna peer edit with your teacher, and look, all the forms are right in here for you for that editing. Look, you got a peer editing checklist. And then which you're going to show it to a friend, and then me, and then you're going to do a personal narrative final draft. And look, I put the pages right in here for you to do that. Okay, so you'll be very happy about that, I think. You get a second draft and a final copy. And then there's a rubric right here. So we talked a little bit about rubrics the other day. So for your rubric, I've got to focus this a little bit. Let's see. For your rubric, you want to always go for the 4 column. Okay, always shoot for this column because this is like the highest you can get. Most people will end up in the 3 column. Okay, and like I told you, I'm going to try to give you guys percentage points too, because the 3 column's really wide. It should actually probably be like this fat. Okay, the 4 is tiny, and then the 3 is like this, and then the 2 should be kind of tiny. The 2 should be maybe here, I don't know, and then the 1 is here too. We don't really want anybody in the 1s because this means you're not doing anything. Alright, if you're not doing anything, you're going to get a 1, which is not good. Alright, if you're doing a lot though, doing a lot extra, and you're really doing an excellent job with it, this is where you get the 4. So like for the personal narrative and memoir, if you want to get the 4, you have to spend the whole time on task, which means I'm going to set the timer for probably 10 minutes. Okay, and you're going to tell a story, maybe 15 minutes, maybe 12 minutes, we'll see. You're going to tell your partner a story, listen carefully to your partner's story, and you're going to ask your partner questions about the story and give ideas. So this is what I really want you doing. It's only a 3 if you don't ask any questions or give ideas. You just listen and you're like, oh, okay, that's nice. It's a 2 if you like just spent some time telling the story, or maybe you were interrupting the story. because that's not easy for your partner to tell. And it's a 1 if you don't do anything. You don't talk at all. You don't tell any story. Okay, so that's how you would grade the conversation, how I would grade the conversation. Okay, and then we have the flow story. So for the flow story, which I told you it's like the comic, you don't have to get started on this yet, but I'm just explaining to you how it's set up. Before we do the piece, we'll look at the rubric for how the flow story is. You drew a detailed flow story with more than 20 drawings. Okay, I drew a detailed flow story with 10 to 20 drawings. I drew a flow story, so not too detailed, and less than 15 drawings. And then I didn't feel like drawing for number 1. That means you did nothing. Okay, or maybe you just put a couple marks on the page. That is not going to cut it in 3rd grade, okay? You got to really step up and show your story. Then the actual writing, I wrote a very interesting detailed story with, look, a beginning, a middle, and an end. You got to have those pieces in a story, don't you? Okay? I wrote an interesting story with a beginning, middle, and end. So maybe not so many details, but your story was not too bad. Here, I wrote a story with at least 2 out of the 3. Maybe you had a beginning and a middle, but you forgot an ending. Or maybe you had a beginning and an end, but you didn't have much in the middle. Okay? Or maybe you had an end and a middle, but no beginning. That would be a 2, because you got to have all 3 parts to really make a story. And then a 1, I'm not good at writing. That means you didn't even try. Okay? You just sat there and felt bad the whole time, which nobody, I would hope, would do that. At least you're going to try. Then you have a lesson. So for the narrative, you got to have some lesson in your story. So as you're thinking of your story right now, I want you to be thinking, what kind of story did I learn a lesson from? And we'll give some examples before we actually chat about it. All right? And then, if you flip to the next page, which is page 6, all of these units have a place for you to record vocabulary words that you learn. Because as you're studying, as you're learning about things, your friend may use a word that you didn't know before. Okay? How many of you hear new words every day? Or at least recognize new words every day? Even I'm still learning new words. So you could write those words here. Even if you weren't sure about the spelling at first, you could get the word down and then we could find the spelling for you later. Okay? You could use your new dictionary that you're going to get today, or you can look it up electronically, or you can ask. All right? There's lots of ways that could be done. Okay? So, then you can choose the words, tell what they mean, then draw a picture with your new words. Alright, so that's how the beginning of every unit's set up. The middle of the units are all of the pieces that go with the actual unit. And then if you were to flip through, you would see the next thing is the writing prompts. And there's each writing prompt is set up with an actual prompt piece and then a place for you to illustrate. And there are 3 that go with it. And these are all connected to personal narrative. So if you're having trouble coming up with a story, I might have you do one of these writing prompts to get an idea going in your mind. Okay, or if you finish early, I might have you work on the writing prompts. And the next piece is the autobiography unit. And you'll see if you were to look, this is page 26. This one's got a little homework with it, but this is set up in exactly the same way. Okay, with your checklist, then your rubric, then your vocabulary words, and then your materials for the unit. Okay, and this one, if you're using this and you're not in my class, I have my own email here, but you can just cross that out and write your email, whatever your teacher email may be. So this is your introduction to I'm a grade 3 writer, and I hope you enjoy using this book this year.